I'll tell the story about how I got into exotic dancing. I was at the Hard Rock Cafe, and there was a gay couple sitting by me, and they said, "Hey girl," they were just so sweet, "Do a shot with us." Okay, sure. I do a shot with them. We get to chatting, and they asked me what I did, and I said I'm a dancer, and they said, "Oh honey, I'm sure you make all the money." And I said, "No, no, not that kind of dancer." I was like, "No, I'm not that kind of dancer. I'm a professional dancer." I was very prideful. No, not me. And they were like, "Well, girl, you got a hot body. Like you have the gift of gab. Why aren't you?" And I was like, "Why aren't I?" They said, "There's a uh, amateur night going on right across the street. We saw the sign when we pulled up." So now by this point, many shots have been consumed, okay, right? So this is all, we just drinking and talking. Couple shots down the line. Okay, if I go, are y'all going to cheer for me? Yeah, girl, we're coming. Yes, let's go right now. I said, "Let me see. Do my bra and panties match?" Yeah. Okay, let's do this. And next thing you know, I'm across the street with these two strangers entering an amateur stripper contest where the grand prize is $1,000. So I'm back there, and on this particular night, there was about 12 women. And the house mom said, "Well, normally it's a slow, it wasn't a weekend. We usually have 4 or 5 girls." So many girls. And I was like, "Oh shit, of course I picked the time." I was like, I felt great, but I'm not a stripper. I'm like, this is not my thing. So I was nervous. I was really nervous. And then
the novice nerves going on.
Yeah, I was nervous. And it wasn't even about my body or like, cause I was like, really? Yeah, it was like, just, okay, show my boobs. Sure. Like, no problem. And so I get up there, and one of the women was in a bachelorette party. So all of her girls, I had my 2 little new friends, and she had a whole group. So needless to say, I went out there in my cute bra and panties. I took my top off. I danced around, and I felt like, wow, this is like, people make thousands of dollars a night. This is all I have to do is like dance with no top. Okay. So I didn't win. The bachelorette won, but I did get second place, and I did get $500. And I was like, well, damn, $500. And they said, "Listen, if you ever want to come back and work, that was your audition. You're hired. Come back whenever you got some outfits and some heels. You're good to go." And that was the beginning. I said, my mind started saying, $500, I make about $800 a week doing this go-go dancing. I made $500 in one night. All I got to do is this. I felt no shame or embarrassment. We gonna roll with this. And so I started working in the day at the strip club, and then going to my other gig at night, and I was on it. I was just, yeah. So I was a dancing fool. I mean, today I can't even imagine. No sleep, just movement all day, every day. But I was making money. I felt good. I felt sexy. I felt grown. And that was the beginning of like a almost 10-year run, dancing in clubs in Vegas, on and off between other things. Got married. I was dancing when I met my, how do I even say it, ex-husband. He wasn't my husband at that time, soon to be ex-husband. But yeah, so that was another big, so coming to Vegas by myself, getting the gig dancing, finding exotic dancing, really getting deep down into that life. And I'm always surprised how I managed to keep, actually, I'm not surprised, but I managed to keep a very good working attitude. Like, a lot of girls get into dancing and it's like anything goes. You make your own hours, you come and go. You can kind of be lazy and not see it as a job. You can see it as like, oh, I get cute, put on makeup, people pay, people have drinks with me, and if I go home with some money, great. But I was very much like, no, this is absolutely my job. And I was able to keep a routine and make it work and not get stuck.
What about like staying away from like cocaine or certain other things that are very prevalent in those circles? Because I mean, obviously, you had to, even if they were more so. What's that word when they're not really a friend? Acquaintances. Even if they're more so acquaintances, you had to make some friends.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
That were
Into that
much
life.
farther than you, basically.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Into that life for sure. It blows my mind that I made it through that period without doing drugs. No, honestly, because and there's no judgment there.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like whatever. But I feel like because if I had, it would have been so readily available to me. If I had done, cocaine, for example, and decided that I liked it, it was it could have went bad. And so I think that being always like this is work, and dancing, there were only very short periods where it was the only thing that I was doing. Like I was always go-go dancing, or I would do a show. Like Vegas would cast a lot of shows for other casinos in other states, but cast it and rehearse it in Vegas. So I would be doing a show somewhere. I worked as a dance mentor at a place for developmentally challenged children and adults for a while. And so I was doing that during the day. So I think always having something else helped me stay focused in that way.
Mm-hmm. What about pressure? Was there pressure?
I wouldn't say pressure. I felt internal pressure because I was trying to find my stripper persona, and I wasn't super bubbly, and I wasn't super.
Yeah, you talk about this on like 3 or 4 of your posts.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't super bubbly. I wasn't super aggressive. I wasn't like the party girl. I was much more reserved and calm. And so there was maybe pressure from my own self, like, well, damn, maybe if you just, do a couple, you'll be where everyone else is at, and you'll be able to be on and more, because I can do it when it's needed, but my natural way of being is not that. And it took so much energy to try to like be a whole different person. A couple years in, I started realizing, wait, there are people that are looking for you. There are people in this club that, okay, yes, physically or whatever, but like want to talk to someone with your demeanor and your personality. And so I was able to just chill out. But there was a point in time where I felt pressure. I definitely drank a lot, during that time. It was just part of the part of the game.
I don't want to get stuck in Vegas per se, but I do want to talk about that a little bit and hear what you have to say about that a little bit, because I think the way that I read it in your multiple posts, because you got a couple talking about this part of your life, was when you realize, like you just said, that, well, actually also me is marketable, like the me that's doing this as work and that enjoys doing this as work, and not as like I'm pretending that this is like something that is not. Yeah. The way that it kind of reads for me on those posts is self-acceptance started to blossom even in this world that I knew a lot of people view as not even just taboo, but like a little kind of ugly, kind of shadow, like belongs in the shadow realm.
Mm-hmm.
And you started to find a self-acceptance. How does self-acceptance blossom in that kind of world? You know what I'm saying? Like, or maybe just for you, but even in general.
Yeah. I think I was clinging really hard to not letting that industry change me. So I kind of had no choice. I was so determined to not become a different person, or not become like the stereotypical stripper, that I kind of doubled down on just being who I was there, and realize that it could still be fun, it could still be lucrative, it could still be all of those things. And that felt really good. And in certain parts, I don't want to make it seem as though, there's a certain amount of acting and playing that I couldn't be 100% me.
Yeah.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
No, but to your point, actor superstars, right? Will Smith, Viola Davis, they're acting, they're in character, and they're even only saying the words that they're permitted to say via the script. They're permitted to say, but they do bring themselves to every role, and it's a role, it's a mask, but it's not their mask. It's the mask for this job.
Exactly. And I always like to say, I explain it as I was myself. I just turned up the sexuality and I turned up the enthusiasm. Okay. So who is Lily, but just with these knobs turned up all the way to 100.
Word. And I want the listeners and watchers to know that it's okay it's okay to mask in a self-aware way.
Exactly. Yeah. You said it perfectly.
So yeah, I wanted to stress that point because that's very interesting. I mean, like who'd thunk?
Right. Who'd have thunk that? And that was the catalyst for me even getting into movement, getting into the work that I do now. Was I had a moment on stage where my damn life was falling apart. Like I had just found out my husband had been cheating on me for a long ass time. Everybody knew. It wasn't just like, oh, you were cheated on. Okay, happens all the time. But it's like I was the last one to know. I felt so stupid. I felt so embarrassed. I felt so, and he had already like moved on and was taking pictures. I mean, there was just no respect. I felt disrespected. I felt all of these things. I didn't know how I was going to survive financially. Everything was entangled. He was not, there was just a lot going on. And I was on stage and I remember feeling like I'm dancing and people are throwing money. And I'm thinking, I am so disconnected right now. Like I just felt so disconnected from my body, so ungrounded, so not present. And it was like, okay, well, I'm here and these lights are on me and all these people are looking at me and seeing like, oh, here's this beautiful woman on the stage and her body, she's moving. But I felt the complete opposite of what I was projecting. And that was when I knew like, okay, you gotta get back in touch with you. And that moment was just like, I felt pitiful up there, but I was dancing and the money was coming and I was sparkling and shining. To anybody looking, you wouldn't know anything, but I felt absolutely pitiful when I was up there. And that's when I started saying, okay, you've danced all these years for others, to audition for a role, to be on a stage, to perform. You do the choreography you're given. You're trained to replicate people's movement. You're trained to be a part of a bigger production. And so what does it look like if you start moving your body for you, period? What can you find out? How does that make you feel? I just started being really curious about those things. And that's kind of what propelled me into what it is that I'm doing now.
Word. So you started to inquire into who am I now? Maybe I was this for a while and that's fine. And that's actually, there was a lot of survival that came with that. Good survival, not barely getting by survival, but there was a lot of fun times and money and whatnot that came through this. But who am I now? It doesn't, because what it sounds like, this experience on the stage, like on that stage when it hit you, it sounds like this is empty now. It may not have been 3 years ago, but now this is empty. Can't pour nothing out of this into myself anymore.
That's exactly it.
So how did you...